John Whelan.
Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach, and I'd like to welcome Minister Deenahan to the House, and I'm grateful that he is taking my question here this evening. Minister, I personally have a great draw for the canal system in this country. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Monastrevin along the canal and have fond recollections of fishing there and indeed swimming and encountering, champion pike and roach and perch and bream, and so many happy school days and summer holidays watching the barges and the leisure craft going through the locks in Coughlin's Lock and Moore's Lock, and indeed across the famous aqueduct in Monastrevin across the River Barrow. And therefore it's something that's of a particular interest to me. And I want to commend you, Minister, and your predecessors in recent times, because the canal system in this country and the inland waterways have really come in from the cold in many respects, from an era when they were really disused and derelict and used as a dumping ground. And indeed, to my horror, in the 60s, whole tracts of the canal were filled in and lost forever. And we don't put the same store and stock in the canal and inland waterways resource here in Ireland as they do in the UK and in Europe. And I think that's highly unfortunate. Spurs of the canal to towns like Mountmellick and Portarlington, which would now be a huge asset and resource for tourism and leisure activity, have been lost and lost forever. And even though the canal system in this country has been immortalised really in ballad and in verse and in poetry, as you know yourself, Minister, but there are now some concerns that we could be about to take, unfortunately, some retrograde acts. And I would now call on you this evening, Minister, if at all possible, to extend the period of consultation that is out there from Waterways Ireland regarding the proposed new canal bylaws. The consultation period is due to expire on February the 3rd. It was only a month-long period. I think it's too short, and there's too much at stake for us to rush into this and to put into legislation and law and bylaws and regulation any measures that would curb or prohibit the use of the canals or act as a retrograde step. And I know that inland waterways associations, such as those in Offaly and Tullamore and in other towns along Edenderry and Rathangan and Monastrevin, Vicarstown and down into Athy, are now grievously concerned about this, Minister, and your intervention would be most helpful. We want to be positive and constructive, but it would be vital that we do not bring in any new bylaws that would impede access, that would be prohibitive in terms of cost for leisure craft users and boaters, or indeed would be in any way impinge upon the development of the tourist asset and encourage tourists to use our fabulous canal network in this country, which comes all the way down from the capital here in Dublin, through the Royal Canal and the Grand Canal, right down into the Midlands and where I'm from myself. Thanks very much, Minister.
Thank you, Senator Whelan. Waterways Ireland is undertaken two public consultation processes at the moment. The consultation process on the draft corporate plan, to which the Senator refers, will be open until the 31st of March 2014. The corporate plan, once finalised, will provide the strategic planning framework which will guide Waterways Ireland's operational work programmes for the next 3 years. The other consultation process relates to proposed bylaws made under the Canals Act. That Act empowers Waterways Ireland to make bylaws for the care, management, maintenance, control and regulation and use of the canals. Our waterways make a vital contribution to tourism, attracting visitors from around Ireland and from abroad. There are over 14,000 registered boat owners on the 7 waterways managed by Waterways Ireland. The proposed bylaws are intended to support the investment already made by Waterways Ireland in new infrastructure and facilities along the canals. They will enhance Waterways Ireland's ability to manage, care and maintain the canals and to help to develop them as a vibrant recreational and tourist amenity for all waterways users. There will be new bylaws for the management of houseboats, and the charging regime will also be modernised. In particular, there will be further provision for the care, management, maintenance and control and the regulation of the use of the canals and moorings on the canals and their use by the public for recreation and navigation purposes. An amendment to the schedule in the 1988 bylaws relating to tolls and charges described in the first schedule to the draft amendment bylaws. Provision for the care, management, maintenance, control and regulation of the use of the canals and moorings on the canals by houseboats, and a fixed penalty or a fixed payment notice procedure for alleged offences for breach of the bylaws. The consultation on the draft bylaws, which commenced on the 6th of January, is open to the public for a period of 21 working days in accordance with the Canals Act. This public consultation process closes at 3 p.m. on the 3rd of February. I am informed by Waterways Ireland that the main stakeholders, which include the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland, the Heritage Boat Association, the Royal Amenity Group, and the Irish Boat Rental Association, have been contacted individually and invited to meet with the Chief Executive and the senior management team of Waterways Ireland prior to submitting their consultation responses. At this meeting, these groups will be given the opportunity to express their views, opinions and any concerns they may have in relation to the amendments to the bylaws. All current permit holders on the Grand Canal have received individual written notice and have been given the opportunity to respond within the consultation timeframe on an individual basis. During this public consultation period, anyone, including those who have any concerns on the proposed amendments to the bylaws, should make written submissions to Waterways Ireland during this 21-day consultation period, which closes at 3 p.m. on the 3rd of February 2014. The draft bylaws and the draft corporate plan 2014 to 2016 may be inspected and downloaded from the Waterways Ireland website, waterwaysireland.org. Alternatively, they may be inspected by arrangement by visiting the Waterways Ireland offices, headquarters at Enniskillen. The draft bylaws may also be inspected by arrangement at Waterways Ireland's Eastern Regional Office in Ashtown Gate, Dublin 15. Following completion of the consultation period, Waterways Ireland shall then consider all written responses before finalisation or the approach they intend to take in relation to the new bylaws. From a safety, environmental and best practice point of view, it is appropriate that Waterways Ireland would consider whether the current bylaws are fit for purpose and modernised where appropriate. It is also appropriate that it would consult with users before making changes to the bylaws. This is the process which is currently underway.
Thank you, Minister. A brief question, Senator.
Thanks, Cathaoirleach, and thanks, Minister, for a comprehensive answer. However, I am hoping in my supplementary, Minister, to urge you and to ask you to use your influence and good offices as the Minister with line responsibility in this area, to know that you have a strong interest in heritage and indeed our tourism. And I'm asking you to come some way down the road with me and to urge Waterways Ireland to extend the consultation period. What harm or hurt could come from that? 21 days, in my view, Minister, is not sufficient. There's too much at stake. And I think there is an element within the new bylaws that are being proposed of a little bit of over-bureaucracy and bureaucracy gone mad. We should be encouraging people and voluntary organisations like Inland Waterways Associations to use the canals, to develop the canals for the benefit of local communities, for leisure craft users and for the development of tourism, Minister. And I think that 21 days is far too short. And I urge upon you now, Minister, to meet me halfway on this and to perhaps use your good office and influence to have this period extended so some of the outstanding areas of concern can be addressed in a constructive manner to everyone's benefit. Thank you.
Senator Whelan, as I said, that the consultation on the draft bylaws, which commenced on the 6th of January, is open to the public for a period of 21 days in accordance with the Canals Act. Now, if that can be extended, I would certainly suggest it would be extended, but if it's within the restrictions of the Act, then obviously it may not be possible. But if it's possible, I will certainly consider it, and I will inquire whether there can be flexibility within the Act. If there is, then I see no reason why it couldn't be extended. But maybe it's because of the Act and in accordance with the Act that this is such a short time frame here in this case. But if it's possible, certainly I will consider that.
Thanks, Minister.
Thanks.